Here's John and Graham. Let's come to John and see if he can...
Morning.
Good morning. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you. Yeah, this is the first survey of the year, but a lovely day. It's quite cold. Sunshine, clear, so it looks like it's going to be a good one.
And today's hill is?
We're going to survey two hills, Moel y Waun and Moel y Accre. Not quite sure which is the higher of the two, probably Moel y Waun, and to see whether it actually reaches hump status. So at the moment we're standing quite near to the Col in the Clwydians, north East Wales. Yeah.
And it's listed drop at the moment, John. Is that 19?
It's about 98.
Yeah. But the bulk is quite handy as well, isn't it?
Yeah,
because
we've got a road here, we can park easily, and it looks as though it's actually on near the road, and from just a quick scout round there. Yeah.
It's quite unusual coming here because when you're travelling on the road down to the bulk, it's almost as if you're travelling part of the Clwydian Ridge, aren't you?
Yeah. I walk this quite regularly because it's a local patch for me. So, in fact, I was here with my son about a week ago. We did about 6 or 7 miles up here over these hills. So it's a lovely place, yeah.
Well, cheers, John. I'll just come to Graham and see if he's got any comments.
Hello, mate.
Hiya, Graham. I don't think it's going to be that easy, the bulk, is it?
Potentially, it could be very easy indeed. There's a car coming down. You just need to step off the road.
Cheers. Thank you.
It could be very easy indeed if the Col is actually on the road. When we first looked at it, the ground seemed to be going up towards the fish farm, but then we took a few steps down that track and looked back, and then this seemed to be higher. So it's one of those. You need to get the level out, and you need to do the job properly.
Because behind you, there's a conifer plantation, isn't there? And it could be somewhere around there.
It could have been, but we walked along the track to see if we could see into the wood, and you can. And we haven't been all the way along yet. We need to do that. But it does look as though the ground is rising up from this track that goes to the fish farm, rising up into the wood. So this looks as though it's on the slope, and it looks as though the Col is either along that track or here at the junction with the road we're on now.
Well, cheers.
So it's going to be a good day.
Yeah. And it is a beautiful day, isn't it? Lovely and sunny.
It is here, a bit foggy in Chester and in Welshpool.
Mark is also with us today, so may see a little bit of Mark later on. But here's the view, looking north. This is looking up towards the continuation of the Briniau Clwyd, or the Clwydian range. And panning around, and that's the westward view. And as you can see, a beautiful morning, and here's the current listed Sub-HuMP, Moel y Waun. And here's the road that actually follows part of the ridge, very unusual when you're travelling down it. Sun low in the sky, as you would expect on a winter's day. I was just thinking, what is the day's date? Because Gordon asked many a month ago.
Today's date is the 11th of January 2013.
There we go. So that's a good catalogue.
Yeah.
Cheers, John. Thank you. So you can see the 2-metre pole just here. If I just go up with the antenna on top, and I come to Graham just to quickly explain.
That's the pole, not this.
What we've been doing since we've arrived.
Well, we've had a good time, haven't we? Really, we arrived in the car and we thought, oh, it's easy. We know where the Col is, and we looked down the track, and there's a bit of a bump down there. And we got the level and staff out, and you walked down there. And we realised it was about 3 metres lower, so we came back and we did the job properly. And in fact, the Col is at, or the Col as it is now at least, is at that little junction between the track and the road. And it's amazing that the eye is so easily deceived, because we thought at one stage it might be where we were standing, but this was lower, and down the track was a lot lower, and we've looked up and down the hill, we've looked in the wood, and it's on that junction.
So why is the equipment, if I just come out just to show the viewers, why is the equipment placed here and not on the actual Col? itself?
Well, the col itself is a track that leads to the fish farm, and we do know that vehicles come down that track and they might not appreciate finding a GPS set up at the end of it if they're trying to get in or out. So we thought we would set it up in the middle of the biggest pile of sheep poo we could find in this field. John has a quirky sense of humour.
And of course we've levelled to find the height difference between this point.
We have,
Yeah,
it's 8.5 centimetres.
Yeah, and there's also a mighty big conifer plantation, isn't there? Just
Yeah, that was another consideration more than you're quite right. I mean, if you look up there, they're probably just about at the 15-degree level, so we're okay here. But if we'd set up closer where the col actually is, we'd have been right underneath those trees, and they would have interfered with the satellite signals.
well, cheers for now, Graham. Any other comments? Just
Well, except it's a cracking day. I set off from Chester in the fog and I got here in the brilliant sunshine, and it's a perfect day actually for surveying. It's a bit cold, but there's no wind, sunny. I mean, you couldn't wish for more, really.
it is lovely,
Fantastic
isn't it?
day.
Yeah. Well, cheers, Graham. Thank
Okay.
you. So I'll just come out so you can get a general view of the territory here. You've got the road in the background going from south on the right to north on the left. And here's the we've got the 530. We've also got our relatively new piece of kit with us as well, because we may send a couple of us up to the summit of Moel y Waun to start the equipment up there and save a little bit of time looking into the sun, so it's quite blary, quite flary there. A little bit of mist around the place. He's our compatriot for the day. I'm not too sure if he wants to say anything.
Well, it's nice to be out in the sunshine. Every time I come on one of these surveys, it's sunny. So obviously you need to invite me more often.
It is a lovely day, isn't it, Mark?
It is. Lovely day.
And you did a bit of work on this hill a few weeks ago, didn't you?
I did a sort of preliminary survey to sort of excite you about it. Yes, just before Christmas, in fact, on a nice sunny day too. And it obviously worked, because here you are.
Well, cheers, Mark. Thank you. Any other comments just to...
No, nothing at the moment. Just growing excitement at the potential of a new Welsh hump, maybe, you know.
Cheers, Mark. Thank you. So if I take you over the conveniently placed stile, I can take you to the position of the critical col. As long as I don't slip. It is rather slippy, that stile. Here's the parking places for the cars. The road that we came down, approaching the bulk. Here's the conifer plantation. As you can see, they're very mature trees, so we have to have leeway between the point just underneath the antennae that the data is collected. Have to have a 15-degree leeway that we can pick up the satellites. And this is the track, and 3 points on this track when we levelled and took measurements to the staff. They all came out exactly the same. And this is the track that leads down to the bird gardens, closed, fishery open. And when you look down there, all of us thought that track was going slightly uphill. But in effect, it's not. It's going slightly downhill. So that's what never rely on your eye for very accurate measurements. So the critical col for this hill is a matter of metres just in front of me. So it's just here, just on the grass verge either side of the track, and here's the level where we took the measurements from. And then Graham took measurements from the point of the critical col, which from here was 0.90, and over to there was 0.985. So it's a 0.085 height difference between where the GPS is positioned and where the critical col is. And that will be taken into account when we process the data. So there we go, at the bulk of Moel y Waun. What a stunning day. Beautiful. It's quite still. Occasionally there's a tiny little bit of breeze. but nothing much. And just below the summit of Moel y Waun, so it's looking west towards Accre, Snowdonia. And we've been joined, as well as having Mark with us for the day. We have an unexpected visitor, and I'll go and introduce the unexpected visitor.
Yeah, right. Well, it's significant.
Yes, isn't it? Yes.
Charlie,
Yeah.
I've described you as an unexpected visitor. So, ooh, it's quite steep getting up to Charlie. It's Charlie Evington. Hello there.
Tourist, really.
Tourist. So you've joined us on the summit, haven't you?
Yeah, I knew you were going to be here because notice posted on Facebook. So as I was coming out today, I thought this would be a good place to come. Have a word with you guys.
And you just came up here as we were looking at setting up the equipment as well, didn't you?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, you were just. I suppose you've been here about 10 minutes. By the time I got here.
Give it to
Yeah.
the OS and they
Doing a little bit of line surveying just to
Will they take it of you?
work out the very highest point. But beautiful day, Charlie.
Yeah, it's absolutely perfect. What I was keen to do is come up and make sure that you guys actually promote it to a hump rather than demote it further, which is usually the case. You go along and knock off the ones that I've recently climbed.
Well, it could be a close one. I think all of us expect that it's going to be remaining around the 98, 99 metres of
Right.
prominence, but who knows?
Right.
You know,
Well, I didn't bring a spade to increase the height, do a Hugh Grant or anything. So keep your fingers crossed.
Well, cheers, Charlie. I'm going to show the viewers the equipment by the trig. Thank you.
Very good, thanks, Moel.
And then I'll go over and see John again. So here's the GPS all set up by the trig. Can't get too close to it because it needs a 15-degree angle. So you have to sneak up to it to check to see how it's getting on. Obviously there's the trig with the flush bracket. The highest bit of ground is just on the left-hand side. So again, we've placed the staff there to see the height difference between that point and where the equipment is. And we put flags there because we'll go over to Moel or Accre afterwards. And Graham will come up here. John's in contact with him on a radio. So we'll get an hour worth of data here. And it's chugging along at the same time as the 530 is collecting data down at the bulk. And once the hour is up, we'll transport the equipment over to Moel or Accre to get an absolute height on that hill. And Graham will come up here and place the equipment where the flags indicate for him to do so. And then we can have data collected at the same time at the summit and the bulk, and then data collected at the same time on the both summits. So got an aeroplane flying over. Go and see John, ask him what we've been doing so he can explain a little bit fuller. Hi John.
Hi Merlin.
So I've just tried to sort of explain briefly what we've been up to, but do you want to give a little bit of a fuller version since we've come up here?
Okie doke. What we've done, we've come here to measure the absolute height of Moel y Waun. So we've left Graham with the GPS down at the base. We came up here and we first set up the level and stuff. We looked around at all the various points locally to try and find the highest point, which we've done, which is a point near the fence. But that point was a bit inconvenient to set up the GPS there. We need to be away from the fence to get the tripod in position. So we've levelled across to a bit of flat ground by the trig there, and we set the GPS up there, and it's now been running for 17 minutes. So we're going to collect about an hour's data, which will give us the absolute height. But at the same time, the GPS is running, and we're Graham at the coal, so we'll be able to get the height difference too from the two machines effectively talking to each other.
So after the hour is up, what are we going to do there?
After the hour's up, I'll call Graham, get Graham to come up and put his GPS, place it where on this position here, and then we'll move across to Moel y Accre, set up on the summit there, and have the two GPSs again running simultaneously, so we can get a height difference between Moel y Accre and Moel y Waun.
Brilliant. And we're going to process the data later
We'll
on?
process the data at my house later on, yeah.
Yeah, excellent. So we'll get a result later on this afternoon?
Yeah. As soon as we can get Rhinex data, if that's available. So it should, no reason why it shouldn't be, but
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cheers, John. Thank you. Thank you very much. And I'll take you up to see the GPS have a little last view of that and fall over as well. There we go. Try to sneak down so I don't interfere with the satellite signals. So I'll just leave with you with that view for now.
Okay, so here's our surveyor, and I'm going to ask him what we're doing on this hill. What's happening, Mervyn?
Well, we've come over to Moel y Waun, or Accre, which is almost the southern outlier of the Clwydian range. And we've taken an hour's worth of simultaneous data on top of Moel y Waun, and simultaneous because Graham was collecting down at the bulk at the same time. So we've left that summit and continued south and come up here with John behind the camera, new camera person, and Charlie, who met us on top of Moel y Waun, and Mark. Graham has taken a very lonely vigil this morning because he's collected about an hour and a half data down at the bulk, walked up to the summit of Moel y Waun himself and then set up there. So we're now taking simultaneous data between the two summits, and the reason for doing that, Moel y Waun is the current sub-HuMP with around 98 or 99 metre listed drop, but I think it's got a 412 metre trig on top.
That's right, yeah.
But Moel y Waun has also got a minute 410 metre ring contour. But you've looked through the level, John, haven't you, between the two summits?
Yes, I have, and I think there's something like 0.3, 0.5 metre height difference, with Accre being the lower of the two. But, you know, we'll confirm that with the GPS numbers when we get back home.
But the access between the summits from where we parked the car, it's so easy. And of course now we've got two sets of equipment. We've got the GS15 and also the 530. And to increase the accuracy just a tiny bit more, when you run the two pieces of equipment together, that increases the accuracy a little bit. So that's what we've done on each summit. So yeah, we come up here. The day's been quite good. The little cloud banks come over now, so the sun has sort of disappeared behind that. But
it's cooling down a bit, isn't it?
Yeah, the last hour or so. But we've got about another 20 minutes or so, I think, until Graham's hour is up.
Yeah.
And then over to
then home and process the data.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you very much, Mervyn. Good stuff.
Okay, cheers, John.
Cheers.
Right, well, I'm here to give the result of Moel y Waun and Moel y Accre, a sub-HuMP that we measured just a few weeks ago. The Ordnance Survey have a height for the bulk of 313 metres, and for the summit a height of 412 metres. The survey that we did on the day was quite an involved one, so I'm going to be reading from a piece of paper which you can probably see me looking down at the moment, so that I've got all the facts right. What we did, we set up the Leica 530 on the bulk, and then one half of the party went up onto the summit of Moel y Waun and set up the GS15. So we were collecting data simultaneously, and that is the most accurate way of getting a height difference. Well, what we then did, we swapped roles, and the Leica 530 was moved up to the summit of Moel y Waun, and the GS15 was moved over to the summit of Moel y Accre. So again, we've got simultaneous data collection on the two summits, the most accurate way of getting a height difference. Right, so that's what we did. I'll now launch into the results. With the Leica 530 set up on the bulk, we measured a height of 312.8 metres. So very close to the 313 metres that the Ordnance Survey spot the bulk as. On the summit of Moel y Waun, the GS15 gave a summit height. I'll read these to the nearest centimetre, but we do really need to then round them to the nearest 0.1 of a metre. We got a summit value of 411.85 metres, and the result for the Leica 530 came out at 411.87 metres, so a 2 centimetre difference in the two measurements, which gives an idea of the precision. So we can say that the summit height is 411.9, and that compares with the Ordnance Survey value of 412 metres. The results for Moel y Accre and carried out by the GS15 gave a summit height of 411.3 metres, with the Ordnance Survey summit spot height being approximately 410 metres. I beg your pardon, there was no spot height, it was a ring contour. So we get a value for the height of Moel y Accre 1 metre higher than what you might deduce from the map. So, pulling all those results together, we've got 411.9 metres for the summit of Moel y Waun and 411.3 for the summit of Moel y Accre. So there's a 0.6 metre difference between them, with Moel y Waun being the higher of the two. For the bulk, we've got 411.9 metres for the summit of Moel y Waun, and we've got 312.8 for the bulk value. So that gives us a drop of 99.1 metres. Very close indeed to the 99 metres you would deduce from the maps as measured from the spot heights. So the result of that is that Moel y Waun is the summit position and the hill remains a sub-hump.